geometry? Here we go. Alright, this time we're going to be talking about planning proof. It's on page 40 to 42. And so you've learned about postulates. Postulates are things that we accept without proof. But theorems are statements that are proved. So you actually have to prove theorems. And there are 5 parts to a proof of a theorem. Number 1 is the statement of the theorem. So we're going to look at theorem 1.7 and 1.8 today. So the first part of proving a theorem is the statement of the theorem. Then there's always a diagram, as you guys love to draw. Given information, what to prove, so it'll say prove, and a colon, and then what you have to prove, and then your statements and reasons. When you do proofs, you have to just really think. You have to think, when you're given information or when you see a diagram, what can I determine from this diagram? What can I determine from the information? You want to try to gather as much information, ask yourself questions, and then try to make some logical statements and reasons to support what you're trying to prove. And the proof always ends with the statements that says proof. Sometimes you might have to draw a diagram. Just be careful when you're drawing a diagram. Like if it says draw an angle, don't automatically just draw a right angle and assume it's a right angle. You have to be able to draw an angle that if they request an acute angle, you have to make sure it's acute or obtuse or right. So anyways, you can draw conclusions from this diagram. If you take a look at this diagram, I know that all these lines, just from looking at the diagram, all these points are coplanar. I know that ABC are in a line so that they're collinear. I know that ABD and DBE form ABE. I know that this line or this ray and this ray and this line all intersect at point B. I know that B is between A and C. I know that ABC is straight and it equals 180 degrees. I know that this point D is on the interior of ABE. And I know that these 2 angles are adjacent and these 2 angles are adjacent. So that's some of the information that I can gather from this. I don't know that any of these angles are congruent, but let's say I was given the fact that this angle was congruent to this angle. I would have to be given that information to be able to draw my little congruent signs. So a diagram can tell you a lot, so make sure you're using your diagrams. Over here, we have theorem 1.7, which is the theorem that we're going to be talking about today, and also theorem 1.8. I didn't draw out theorem 1.8, but I do want you to put theorem 1.7 in your book, in your notebook. Theorem 1.7 says that if 2 angles are supplements of congruent angles, or the same angle, then the 2 angles are congruent. It's kind of obvious, but if you have an angle here and that said 60 degrees, and then you had an angle here and it said it was congruent to that one, well, that means that's 60 degrees. So this other angle, its supplement, is going to be 120, and that's going to be 120. So clearly, those 2 are going to be congruent, okay? So we're going to prove this theorem. It's proved, it's in your book. Given angle 1 and angle 2 as supplements, here's angle 1 and angle 2. Supplementary angles are angles that equal 180 degrees when added together. So if I had those degrees and I didn't have those, if I wanted to figure out those, I would say 180 minus those to figure out that, okay? So that's what supplementary means, 2 angles that added together form equal 180 degrees. So if 1 and 2 are supplementary and 3 and 4 are supplementary, and 2 is congruent to angle 4, so if these 2 are congruent, we need to prove that these 2 are congruent. It's pretty obvious. I already showed you with the 60-degree angle, but you know in geometry we have to prove it. Angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, and 3 and 4 are supplementary. We know that was given. The second step, the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2. These 2 added together equal what? 180 degrees. These two added together also equal 180 degrees. So the second step is 3 plus 4 equal 180, 1 plus 2 equal 180. That's definition of supplementary angles. The measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4. Since 1 and 2 equal 180, 3 and 4 equal 180, 180 is the same, I can substitute this in for 180 because it equals 180. That's substitution. The measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 4. We were given that in the proof. It said given. So if 2 and 4 are equal, if I subtract 2 and 4 out of there, that means these would be subtracted off. They're equal, so they're gone. Then the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3, and that's subtraction property. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to put the video on pause. I'm going to give you the answers to the classroom exercises, but I want you to do the classroom exercises first. So I'm just going to grab the classroom exercises. Okay, so put it on pause, go do the classroom exercises on page 42, and then I will see you in a little bit. Alright, so now I'm assuming that you did the classroom exercises. Number 1 is yes, number 2 is no, 3 is yes, 4 is no, 5 is no, 6 is no, 7 is yes, 8 is yes, 9 is no, 10 is yes, 11 is yes, 12 is yes, 13 theorem 1 7, 14 theorem 1 7, 15 angle FBC equals angle GCB by the angle addition postulate, 16 DC plus CB equals AB plus BC reflexive property, 17 angle 6 equals angle 3 vertical angles, 18 angle FBC equals 90 degrees, definition of perpendicular lines. BE is an angle bisector, definition of an angle bisector. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Angle bisectors, definition of an angle bisector, and they both equal 45 degrees. BE equals CE by substitution. FBC is a right angle. FB is perpendicular to BC for number 20. Sorry, that was number 20. I don't think I said at the beginning. And then 21 is angle 2 and angle 4 are complements. Theorem 1-8. 22, angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. Angle 3 and angle 1 are complementary. By the transitive property, angle 3 is congruent to angle 2. And then 23, if 1 equals 2 and 3 equals 4 because they're vertical angles, 2 equals 3 and 4 equals 5 because they're given, 5 and 6 are supplementary, and therefore by substitution 5 equals 1. And 1 and 6 are supplementary by substitution. Alright, I will see you tomorrow. Bye!